the verses leading to verse 11. Bless the Lord. When you found this particular passage, I'm going to ask that you would rest with me on your feet. Bless the Lord. Let me begin at verse 4, if you don't mind, just to provide some contextuality to the pericope of verse 11. Then the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, if it please the king, and if it have found favor in the sight, and that seemed right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in all the king's provinces. Verse 6, for how can I endure to see the evil that shall come upon my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said to Esther, the queen, and Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him have they hanged. Him have they hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. Hear this now. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. Lord, help me. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants and the deputies and the rulers of provinces which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, and unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent the letters by posts on horseback and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries. Finally, verse 11, wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. For the moments the Lord gives us a mouth and wisdom, want to use forethought. It's a rewrite. It's a rewrite. It's a rewrite. I've been made aware of the fact that Black History Month has a specific and special meaning. Do you know it? Do you realize, and have you been aware of the fact that historian Carter G. Woodson chose February for 2 particular reasons? Actually, it was just a week initially. Did you know that? Yes. And that later it was determined that it would be an entire month. Some debated because it was the shortest month in the year and felt kind of an affront, because why should we shorten our celebration of Black history? In essence, because when we celebrate Black history, when we celebrate African history, we are celebrating human history. Spirit of God, help a Black man. I am pushed in spirit, in interiority, to kind of remind us that this is not just about flesh and blood, but that God has, in some unique and powerful way, made Carter G. Woodson aware of how this particular month was the birth month of 2 luminaries who have left a footprint on history that we ought to celebrate, that we ought to embrace, and that we ought to lift for our sons and daughters. One particular luminary's name is Frederick Douglass. Anybody ever heard of Frederick Douglass? My homeboy from B-More. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Yes, we don't play in B-More. You roll up on us, you got problems. And I'm just trying to say, the brother was so bad that he didn't know when his birthday was. He just chose a birthday. Certainly God help me, and that's what it was. He said it's going to be February 14, 1818. Anybody got anything to say about it? Step up now and get clocked. That's all I got to say. Frederick wasn't playing because he had a sense of who he was. And God help me, when you know who you are, when you have a sense of self-identity, you can name when your beginnings were. You don't have to let anybody else define you. Oh my goodness, you define you by the grace of God. Bless the Lord. Somebody in here needs to break that yoke right here, because somebody's always trying to describe, define, tell you what's best for you. Oh, but today, when you determine who you are, and when this day is the beginning of your life to bust a move, to make a change, to make up in your mind, you're going to be the best you can, to be a child of God, to participate in a trajectory that places great into greater and best into better, then you are reborn, as it were. And there is something unique and powerful about that particular declaration. The second luminary is a brother named W.E.B. Du Bois. Anybody ever heard of him? First African-American in history, in the history of this country, to get a real PhD. Lord help us in here. There's a whole lot of doctors running around here talking about, I'm a doctor this and doctor that. But this brother really got a doctoral degree when they wouldn't let black folk have no doctoral degrees. And what's so cold-blooded about it was they couldn't refute it, even when they tried to discourage him and dissuade him. God help me, somehow or other, his sense of sobriety and intellectual acumen and capacity made room for him. And it's something about it. When you got it, folk can't even stand it. They can't stand that you got it, and then they can't stand before you because you got it. I mean, you just nasty coming and going. Why? You want to tell somebody sitting next to you, I know you can't stand because I got it like that. And it's just all it is to it. You can't apologize for it. You can't accommodate it. It's not because it came because of you. It came in spite of you, because many of us are just as gifted as we want, but as crazy as a loon. I mean, got anointing on in you, but you need a straitjacket because you're about to lose it anyway. Here, God help me, here W.E.B. Du Bois. And some suggest he is the father of modern sociology, because in his particular 20th century exemplar, The Philadelphia Negro, he sets out, as it were, a different way of looking at sociology. He uses statistical information in his exemplar, The Philadelphia Negro, as a means of suggesting that when people know the truth, that they will do something in public policy to make an adjustment in the adjudication and appropriation of resources. But his presupposition was somehow disappointed, because he had to recognize that there are structural barriers that have been put in place for a reason. People know when they're trying to hurt you, and they mean to hurt you. But the blessing is, Spirit of God help me, no matter what people do to try to hurt you, come tell me, Isaiah, what you said in Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you, God help me, will prosper. And one thing that the enemy has tried to do is miseducate us. Can't you hear the miseducation of the Negro? Try to tell us our story in a way that decouples us from our own greatness, that tries to erase our history so we don't know who we are, what we've accomplished, what we have the potential of being. Because if you have no sense of what you have accomplished, then you have no sense of what you can accomplish,